Yeah.
The Herd.
All guests of the Herd appear via the Subway Fresh Takeout line.
So, years ago when I used to live in Vegas, I would drive to Los Angeles, and instead of flying, it was expensive. I would just drive to Los Angeles and then drive back. And I've done that trip 100 times. Like anybody that lives in LA or Vegas, you drive that drive, and it's flat, baby. About 3.5, 4 hours. If you can go through Pasadena, it's a little shorter. And the one thing that always struck me, I thought it was one of the most fascinating things. I always thought it was a great movie or a great series. You get these towns, Palmdale and Baker and Barstow. I mean, middle of nowhere. And I always used to get really sad. I used to think it really bummed me out. What do kids do? Boredom's a really sad thing for me, and I don't think everybody needs constant stimuli, but there's always been this sense in America that a small town is safer, and I got news for you. Meth use is much higher per capita in small towns than busy cities. It just is. There's more to do. You stay out of trouble. So I've always believed that, everybody thinks, I grew up in a small town. Small town. You know what there is to do? Drink. That's what you do. You study, done studying, you drink. Small towns, there's a lot of problems in small towns. And I used to make that drive, and I'd drive through Baker and Barstow, and I'd see kids, and I'd think, God, I feel for those kids. Boredom is a dangerous thing for kids. How do you keep a kid out of trouble? You have no community pool, no parks, nothing to do, no shopping mall, nothing. No local teams to watch. I think it's hard to get in. I really think it's harder to get in trouble in a big city. There's more to do. More to take your kids to do. More stimuli. And I saw this story yesterday. Notre Dame got another football player in an alcohol-related incident, DeVaris Daniels. One of 29 individuals cited at one address. Bunch of dudes pounding Budweiser. The third Irish player to encounter alcohol-related legal trouble this month, one of them was the quarterback. And, I look at that, and UConn basketball's had trouble. Illinois football. They have less trouble, it seems to me, on this alcohol-related stuff than USC in the middle of downtown LA with 6,000 bars and lounges. And it just goes to, it's really, I got to tell you something. Brian Kelly's a great football coach. But he not only has to battle Michigan and Purdue, he has to battle his own fan base. To be able to get kids in this day and age when every football game's on TV. Notre Dame used to have a big edge. They're on television. Who cares? Boise State's on TV 8 times a year. TV is no longer an advantage for Notre Dame. It's just your campus against my campus, your weather against my weather. How many guys do you put in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft? How many people do we do? Boise State had more guys in the draft this year than Notre Dame. I got news for you. That big TV advantage Notre Dame had with NBC, it's over. Everybody's on television. And in the end, Notre Dame is a tough sell. I'm African American. I run a 4.340. Rural Indiana. Academically difficult, which means it's not exactly where the sexy girls go to college. Religious leaning. That's a hard sell. You're trying to get kids from Florida and Beaumont in beautiful weather, from Dallas and Houston, beautiful weather, baby dolls everywhere, to a small, rural, academically tough campus. And I got news for you. There's a lot more beautiful women at Carolina than Duke. Why? Because the academics are easier. You go to private schools and academically rigid schools, that's not where the baby dolls go. And that's part of the sell. Don't kid yourself with a 17, 18-year-old kid that runs a 4.3. It's a hard sell. Tough grades, middle of nowhere, rural, cold. So all you Notre Dame fans that think Brian Kelly, he has done a great job at Notre Dame. His recruiting, now is he getting Alabama classes? No, but he's getting great classes when you consider what he has to deal with. Notre Dame, and I said this morning, I said I'm going to make a list of, to me, the top 10 delusional fan bases in this country. Number 1 is the Tim Tebow fan base. They're in their own galaxy. I mean, they're like the Lord of the Rings of delusion. The Tebow fan base is off the charts. You can't compare anything with the Tim Tebow fan base. A lot of that is faith-based. I mean, a recent Sports Nation poll said 60% of the people think Tebow is a great starting quarterback. Great. I mean, I thought great was like Aaron Rodgers and Brady. They think Tebow's that. So, by the way, Vince, thank you. Don't think boredom's a problem. Here are the states with the most meth users. Arkansas, Oklahoma, California, Wyoming, Utah, Kansas, getting a Hawaii, that's an island. Isolation does funny things. So the Tim Tebow fan base is number one. I put Notre Dame number two. They really believe they're competing on an annual basis with USC. They've lost 9 of 10 to USC, 7 by blowout. One's in California, 80-degree weather. Come on, you're not there anymore. I would say Penn State football's third. That's no longer a top 20 program. Despite filling a stadium, that doesn't make you a top 20 program. I would say Dallas Cowboys, the owner is your general manager, is sort of a running joke in the league. 1 playoff win in 15 years. I like Dallas more than most. That's a delusional fan base. The Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan base, I would put number 5. 3 full years, no wins and 110 starts. Bubba, we get it. You loved his dad. His dad was a legend. Dale Jr. is not. I'd say Raider fans are 6. No playoffs in 10 years. We're not picking on you. You're just not a very formidable franchise right now. I would say Big Ten football in general would make my top 10. I had them at 7. Think about this. Do quarterbacks matter in football? Yes. Here's the last 10 college quarterbacks that went to the NFL and have been pretty good. Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, Matt Stafford, Jay Cutler, Joe Flacco, Josh Freeman, Sam Bradford, Matt Ryan, and I'll throw in Mark Sanchez. None of them are Big Ten. Right now, there's more Division I AA starting quarterbacks than Big Ten quarterbacks in the NFL. What does that tell you? I would say college basketball fans are the 8th most delusional. We're a lot better than the NBA. Dude, 49 weeks a year, you're irrelevant. March, because we can bet on you, we tune in. I would say Knicks fans are way up there. Listen, there's a reason you keep overpaying for Melo and Amari, because LeBron and Chris Paul don't want to play them. The owner is not beloved. The organization's not well run. You can't just sell a really cool city. And then number 10, I put Chicago Bulls. This group, to me, is just a bunch of B players and Derrick Rose, who's a volume scorer. I don't see them ever winning a championship. I think they need to be, to some degree, after Noah and Derrick Rose, blown out. But, so there's my list. Bulls 10, Knicks 9, college basketball fans 8, Big Ten fans 7, Raider fans 6, Dale Jr. fan 5, Cowboys 4, Penn State 3, Notre Dame 2, and the Tim Tebow fan base in its own galaxy as the most delusional fan base. 1-888-SAY-ESPN. You can argue with me, add your own.